Godzilla X Kong The New Empire is the newest movie in the MonsterVerse, so let's rank all 5 movies. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the movie ranker, and today I'm ranking all 5 MonsterVerse movies from worst to best. These are made by Legendary Studios, I believe. A pretty decent, entertaining franchise that they've came up with. This was a first time watch for me going through these films. I figured we got 5 of them, I should start watching them. And I had a good enough time going through here. Some ups, some downs, but we're going to get into it. Just make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy rankings like this, and make sure to drop your ranking down in the comments section so we can have a great discussion about it. And without wasting any more time, let's dive in. So for me, coming in the last place at number 5, I got Godzilla X Kong The New Empire, the newest film in this franchise, and I am not liking the direction that it's going in. It's becoming more and more silly, more goofy, and more cartoonish as the series is going on. Yeah, just didn't like the tone of this one. It felt like it was using the MCU, the Marvel formula, when with regards to the set pieces, everything's like CGI, to these bottom of the barrel characters with cringeworthy dialogue. They're trying to make a joke every 2 seconds, but it usually doesn't land. So yeah, not a fan of any of that. But then the movie's basically a Kong movie. There's not much Godzilla in here at all. He's kind of put on the back burner. He's going around kind of powering up so he can do the big battle at the very end. So we spend most of our time with Kong, and he's living in Hollow Earth. He freaking goes to the dentist in this film. He has a sore tooth. I'm like, what? That is so ridiculous. Like, and it doesn't really add anything to the plot. It's just put in there because they thought it would be fun. But to me, it's just going too far at this point. And yeah, I'm not a fan of Hollow Earth to begin with. I much prefer Skull Island as a setting. So that's another thing going against this movie. And the villains in this one are these apes living underneath Hollow Earth. What's his name? Scar King. Was not a fan of him. I'm like, he's nowhere near on the same level as Godzilla or Kong to me. He's supposed to be an alpha titan, but it doesn't seem like it. And the only reason why he's powerful is because he has Shimo, or whatever the hell his name is, that dinosaur lizard that freaking shoots ice out of its breath, out of its goddamn mouth. He's kind of cool, but he's kind of under a spell because the ape has this dagger or whatever that glows that controls him. It's kind of a mess, man. I'm just not a big fan of it, especially after rewatching a lot of the Planet of the Apes movies. Then you spend time with all these apes and they don't talk or anything, so they're so basic and there's like nothing to them. In the end battle, the 2 versus 2 where Kong and Godzilla team up, kind of ridiculous. But them two teaming up against the other two was okay, I guess, but nowhere near as fun or as entertaining as some of the battles we've seen in the past. So this movie was just too goofy for me. Up next at number 4, I'm going with Godzilla vs. Kong. A big step up from the newest entry, I feel. Just really wasn't a fan of the direction they're taking this. This one's kind of goofy too, but not overboard. They don't cross the line yet, I feel. And the entertainment value is much higher in this one. Of course, the battles, Kong versus Godzilla, they're really entertaining battles. Whether we're talking about the one in the water or the one in the city near the end, they're both great. Obviously, Godzilla kind of outperforms him. He's the king, he's gonna beat Kong, but I like how they give Kong an advantage with the axe and everything. That was nice. But again, Godzilla gets put on the back burner. I feel like he's barely in this movie. It's all about Kong and his journey into the Hollow Earth, and he's trying to figure out where he comes from, trying to find home, where's his ancestors and all that. Again, I'm not a big fan of Hollow Earth, so it's not fun spending time here to me. They do a little bit better job with Hollow Earth in this one, though, than they did in the new one as well. But like I said, I prefer Skull Island when we're with Kong. But yeah, it's okay. We get some mythology, some backstory on him and everything. But the big highlight for me is probably Mecha Godzilla. I thought That was friggin' out of nowhere. Didn't even know that was going to be in this film. And that was a real treat to see. And then, of course, the two have to work together, Godzilla and Kong, to defeat it. Great little ending there, and makes for a pretty badass, entertaining fight. It could have been probably a little bit better in regards to a versus movie. Um, for instance, like Freddy versus Jason, not the greatest movie at all, has a ton of flaws, but the end battle, it's just so epic and so fun. It feels like you're watching a WrestleMania match, like an annual event, where it didn't quite reach that level for me in Godzilla versus King Kong, but still incredibly entertaining. Up next at number 3, I'm going with Godzilla from 2014, the first entry into this MonsterVerse. And yeah, they did a very good job on their first movie. They kind of played it safe in regards to the story concerning Godzilla and the enemies, the enemy titans, the creatures. But I prefer them to play it safe than to go wacky and goofy like in the newer entries. We get a really good character in a father here who's trying to figure out the mystery behind his wife's death. She died at a nuclear plant. They say it's an earthquake, but he does not believe it and he's investigating it. And I just think his character is just so interesting and intriguing. But then he dies. And it's like, what? And we're left with his son, the Ford. And I find he is just such a generic character. There's not much to him. And yeah, he's in the military or whatnot, whatever. But yeah, totally a downgrade. And I really feel like that hurts the movie because now I'm less invested into it. And that hurts kind of the pacing too, because the whole middle of the movie is like just army talk and, news clippings and stuff like that for the most part. We do get a few cool scenes with our villains, the Mutos. We get two of them, a male and a female. I think they're pretty cool. I like the look of them. They're almost like a praying mantis type creature. Or like a Cloverfield type creature. I just don't like the look of their faces. I find their faces look incredibly cartoonish and stupid and doesn't match the bodies. But they might have been going off of an older film or an older comic or whatever for his design. But I'm just not a fan of the faces of them. But I do think that they're interesting and how they're trying to mate and everything. And Godzilla comes into the rescue, the defender of the people. And it's interesting because the people don't really realize it in this film that he's one of the good guys, even though he causes a bunch of destruction. He's there to stop these other monsters, put them in their place, and prove that he is the king. But he's gonna protect the people as much as he can while doing so. He might trample on some or whatever, but it's just, again, interesting to see the point of view from the humans, how they see him as a threat at first, and by the end they realize what he really is. And this movie also contains one of the best shots in the entire movie, in the entire franchise, I should say, MonsterVerse, is when they're doing, what is it called, the Halo jump, when they're jumping from the sky, the soldiers. The cinematography, the music, everything about that scene, the lighting, the way it's shot, it's so damn thrilling, it's engaging. There's a little bit of horror elements in there, so much atmosphere and mood, and it's just so damn good. And them coming down, and when you get a glimpse of Godzilla like through POV of the soldier, it really shows you the scale of the monsters and what danger they're getting themselves into. So to me, that's a standout of this entire MonsterVerse. But yeah, Bryan Cranston is amazing in here, but everybody else is kind of, they're just okay. They're not really fleshed out really good or really that interesting. That kind of brings down the film a bit. And like I said, the pacing in the middle kind of brings it down. But that end battle, holy shit, is it ever fun. A little too dark at times, a little hard to see a couple of times when the monsters are fighting. But for the most part, it's really entertaining, especially when he's killing them. Takes out one with his tail, and obviously the one at the end where he rips open the mouth and shoots his atomic breath, or whatever you call it, in its throat. So badass, man. Pretty awesome first entry, if you ask me, but it still has some flaws, some things holding it back. I feel like I should like this movie more than I actually do when I sit down and watch it, but it's still leaps and bounds above the newer entries. Up next at number 2, I'm going with Kong Skull Island. Now this one was a pretty damn good entry. I love the island setting, very cool with all the monsters on there, and it's just a great world to be in. We get a lot of Kong in here, which is great. Unlike the first Godzilla entry where they hit him for most of the movie, we get to spend a lot of time with Kong. And we see pretty much right away that he is not a menace. He's protecting the island, protecting these tribe people. But if you get in his way, he will destroy you, which is what happens when they show up on this island, start blowing it up, like setting off bombs and stuff, and it really pisses him off. He kills half of these soldiers. And then the soldiers turn on him. They make it their mission to take him out because the Vietnam War has just ended during this time period, and they were about to go home, but they got sent here first. So they got sent home. They didn't get to finish the first war. They're making sure that they win this one, and I thought that was really interesting. I like I said, the whole time setting and everything being back in the day. We also get two World War II soldiers who ended up landing on the island, a Japanese and an American, one played by John C. Reilly. And I think he is such a fun character, probably my favorite out of this movie. He's so damn good, and you really get to see that he had a friendship with this guy after a while, the guy he was fighting, right? The Japanese guy, even though he's dead by the time we end up on the island, we don't get to see him. But yeah, you can really tell they formed a great friendship. And of course, Kong himself, too. He's the one who explains to the people here that Kong is not the one you should be threatening or trying to kill. It's these skull crushers. And the skull crushers are okay. They're kind of these basic monsters. They're like part lizards, but without like they have like a long, like slithering tail, almost like a snake instead of back legs. They're okay. They make a pretty good threat for Kong, and we get some good action with them in there. But I just found that this movie also had the best cast as a whole cast. And the characters are much more likable or more fun to watch because we know the cast members. We got Brie Larson in here. Not usually the biggest fan of her, but I think she does a great job in here. Sam Jackson as like the head soldier, the colonel or whatever. He's doing his thing. I've seen him play this type of role before, but it's still fun. Or he's just hell bent on killing Kong, at all costs. Tom Hiddleston, I mean, is basically all the MCU in here. I mean, we get four of them anyway. John C. Reilly, Brie Larson, Sam Jackson, and Tom Hiddleston. They're all from the MCU, but they do a much better job in here, I feel. They're still not really super fleshed out or anything, or have these crazy arcs, but they're definitely the best set of characters out of all these movies here. It definitely has that going for it. And I just thought that Kong Skull Island was a great time. I like how they switched up the story. It wasn't just a remake of all the Kong movies we've seen in the past, where they go to the island, Kong ends up taking the girl and going up the Empire State Building in the end. We don't get any of that, which I thought was really refreshing. I was wondering if that was how it was gonna play out, but no. So that was cool. They did kind of their own thing, and I thought it was just a really good movie. Oh, and John Goodman is in it as well. See, there's so much good casting in here. I don't even remember all of them, but yeah, fun movie. But for me, easily coming in the first place, I have to give it to Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now, this movie delivered on everything I want from a Godzilla movie for the most part. I mean, we still get pretty shitty human characters. I mean, they're not real fun to watch. Vera Farmiga is in here. I usually love her, but her character is pretty damn unlikable in here, even though they try to give her an arc, a redemption arc at the end. It's just not quite satisfying. I'm still not quite on her side. She's in this broken family with her and her husband and her daughter. And yeah, it's just not the funnest thing to watch. The little box they have, the orca that can communicate and kind of control the Titans, I think that is super interesting. And that kind of makes the human characters a little bit more interesting as well. But what this movie really delivers on is the monster mayhem. I mean, we get all these titans, these monsters rising from the earth and taking over. Of course, King Ghidorah is the main baddie in here. Three-headed friggin' dragon thing. And it is menacing, man. The only thing that is above Godzilla at times. I mean, for the most part, on a regular scale without powering up, he could take him. Great villain there. I loved him. And how it was like controlling all the monsters. It became the alpha. And all the mythology behind him and how he's really like this ancient alien or something like that. Super interesting to me. And all the mythology surrounding these monsters is really cool in this movie. We get a ton of battles in here. I mean, it is so kick-ass, the ending. I can't even explain to you how awesome it was when I was watching this. Godzilla fighting Ghidorah, and you got Mothra showing up against Rodan, and it's just like, oh my god, and it's awesome battles, man. The way they designed everything and the way it played out, it just looks really cool and it's incredibly entertaining, especially that ending where they like super power up Godzilla to the point where he's like shooting out like magma and melting buildings. I'm like, oh my god, that's the most badass thing I've ever seen. I always thought Kong was a more interesting character, to be around, but Godzilla is definitely more badass, and this is how you make him badass. There's even a scene in this movie where he almost dies. Like they try killing the King Ghidorah, and it ends up basically putting Godzilla in a coma down below the depths, and they have to use a bomb to reawaken him, but they kind of supercharge him a little too much, and that's when he gets so powerful at the end. But it's so incredibly fun to watch. We get great character moments like that, where that one Japanese guy goes in to set the bomb near Godzilla, and he has that nice little moment with him. While we don't have the best characters, we do have a few nice character moments in here, which is a step up from the other movies for the most part. And yeah, it's just the battles, the sheer scale of everything in this film. It's easily my favorite. It's like the world's being taken over by all these titans, so it's just so big, so fun, gigantic. It's still a popcorn movie, but it's really just feeding me the entertainment I love. So for me, Godzilla King of the Monsters comes in the first place. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 5 MonsterVerse movies. Hope you enjoyed it. You can follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram. Links to those are always in the descriptions of my video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and to drop your ranking in the comments section. We'll have a great discussion. That's all I have for you guys today. This was a pretty fun franchise to go through. I wouldn't say I'm a major fan or anything. I'm kind of a casual fan, and I'm interested to see what they do next, even though I'm not a fan of the direction the movies have been going into lately. But it is what it is. But yeah, I'll be back soon with another ranking. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and until next time, thanks for watching.